So those are, I think...
and in terms of timing, that's another issue, right? It's never exactly on
the
time.
predictability is not there. But I think a lot has been done.
But the frequency is so high, like in bigger cities,
sometimes,
that
the
predictability doesn't matter because
that's true. The frequency is
so
pretty high.
Okay.
But again, if you want to be at a place at a particular time, it's very difficult to do that.
Okay. Yeah, you can. I mean, here, for example, over here, when you map from one point to the other, it gives you a time at which you reach, and I think you pretty much make it within a minute or two. But you don't have the same level of guarantee and assurance when you're traveling on a bus.
That will again differ from city to city.
Yeah.
So
safety might be an issue. Like some of the drivers, I don't know if the incentives have changed in Delhi, but there was red line that would always try to like beat the other bus to the bus stop, so they would take each other. They were trying to get as many passengers.
There still is that bus drivers not driving safely is a common phenomenon.
Yeah.
I used to drive car, and then whenever I used to see a bus, I used to let them go, otherwise they will honk at your
the way to get off is also you have to jump off.
Yeah, you have to jump off. Actually, you have to run to get in the bus.
I've heard people get badly injured by doing things.
When I used to go to college, I used to like run and get
mark
on.
On my knee. Because
from
of that. Because I fell down from a bus and rolled over on the road, and that day I decided that never in my life I'm going.
Plus, you have a lot of these situations where you see buses overcrowded and you see people hanging outside.
Like we used to hang at least 1 foot out of the bus because it was so crowded. But in Bombay, you don't see that at all. They have a very good control system. So it depends on metros. Delhi is really bad at that, but Mumbai is very good.
Okay. Bombay people hang as well.
Yeah.
In the double-decker buses have now hung.
Yeah. The bus will be like pretty much like that.
Yeah. Tilted towards one side.
It's pretty.
Overcrowded.
So then there are also these smaller buses, which I think they're called, what are they called?
RTVs?
RTVs. Yeah. So they're basically shorter distances. So really small bus.
So more niche types of routes.
Yeah. So like smaller routes which are not really served by.
It's like from villages, really from the villages to the.
The suburbs.
Is that remote transportation?
Remote or rural? I think it's.
Remote transport vehicle.
I thought it was rural. I don't know.
So let's talk about motorcycles. When is it preferable to use a motorcycle, and what are your experiences with that?
About like second tier like smaller cities where you don't have traffic's not very controlled. In the sense, I think it's easier to maneuver using a motorcycle than.
So there's a big difference here. If you look at
like
Bombay, Delhi is very
cars.
Mostly cars. It's also because the cities are much larger and more spread
out. And the roads are
wider.
wider because the roads are very narrow in like Pune and
Bangalore. It's super popular. So
even
that's
in
also
Delhi, like you see a lot of bikes in Delhi.
Yeah.
Not as
much as Bangalore. I don't think. I mean, maybe there are. I don't know, but in terms of number of people.
Generally, what happens is that families mostly will have a bike at their home, irrespective of their income. So even if they are at lower income point, they will have a bike or a scooter. A two-wheeler will be there.
Even if they have a car.
Even if they have. So the car is generally an add-on. Basically. It's sort of a luxury. Thing.
Because my perspective is that people still prefer motorcycles over cars because of parking, because of getting around side roads.
I mean, in terms of maneuverability, I think most. So if you look at the age of when say people start buying their own vehicles, it's like, let's say the first entry point will be people going to, let's say, college in 16, 17. You start off with, let's say, a scooter, one-gear scooter, and then you'll have people branch off into two. You'll either have people going ahead and buying a car, let's say if they can afford it at that early stage and they start working at, let's say, 23, 24.
Yeah.
Or you'll have another set who goes and actually buys a proper bike.
Okay.
And that's typical Indian male, 22, 23, that age.
Okay.
It's like a status symbol.
Yeah, it's almost there's a definite status.
So moving from like a TVS to something that's
exactly.
You're supposed to become cool.
Yeah, you move to like a Pulsar or something like that. And then that becomes and super common in terms of like if you look at like Bangalore, if you have the IT crowd and that Indian male 24 to 20, Indian male 24 to like 35.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of them are bikes. The advantage of bikes is also when you move from place to place, let's say you get transferred, move to a different city, transporting is quite easy.
Yeah.
Put it in a train and ship it.
I think for the bike, one key point is that it depends a lot on weather. So Pune and Bangalore, the weather is nicer in comparison to Delhi and Mumbai. So people generally travel with bikes because in Delhi in summer, if you are on a bike, you are toast.
So you're not talking about rain, you're talking about really, really hot.
Hot will be a problem. Rain is still fine.
Bombay it's rain, so bike is a pain. They have to wear a raincoat.
Raincoat and then their bike also needs to be covered. I see everybody covering their bike.
It gives a lot of puddles, so it's not good to be on a bike.
Okay.
But point to like what you said about that single 24 male, it's also a lot of value for money in the sense that the bike is about 50,000 rupees and then it gives you a very good mileage.
Okay. So 50,000-60,000 is like, if you look at the entry price point, 50,000-60,000 is like a good bike.
Yeah.
And the cost of maintenance is very low because it gives you a mileage of like maybe 60-70 kilometers.
And you resell it at around 50.
Right? And you can resell it also, exactly. At about 30-40 max. You'll lose like maybe 20-30% even over the course of 3-4 years.
Okay.
The cheapest car that someone would want to buy, forget like the Marutis of the world, that's not something which people aspire to buy.
Times, right?
But the cheapest car would be like maybe 4.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs.
Okay.
Right? It's like a Santro or a Swift or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a Ford or coupe or a sedan would be like 4.5, 5 lakhs starting.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like almost 10 times, close to 9-10 times.
It's a big.
So that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why.
There's like the car segment and the bike segment are very clearly. There's like a big excitation level like between.
And that's what these guys tried to come into. So Nano tried to come in there.
Yeah.
Age, marriage, the
age,
and then as soon as you get have
Yeah.
kids, you want a car.
You are married, you want a car. I mean, I'm pretty much almost seen this trend. Like people who are married generally don't carry on with bikes.
Yeah,
and
they get
because you always, the lady will have a purse, the lady will have a bag, and then you will have probably a bag.
She's wearing a sari, then
so it's very difficult to maneuver all those with a bike safely.
Plus, I think it's also not safe. Like on Delhi roads, people drive like madmen. So, like I've literally seen people falling off a bike in front of my car, and like I've had to maneuver.
I had a bike accident.
My car and everything. So it's really unsafe.
Like I said, the college population is really big, really big, because it's a cheap entry point.
Yeah.
Like you can get like a ungeared scooter for like 25,000-30,000 bucks.
Okay.
Like
Because all the roads.
Mahindras and the TVSs and the Kinetics make these. It's been popular. I had one when I was.
The other difference I've seen is in Pune, there are a lot of women driving scooters. I've not seen that much in Delhi. I don't know why.
Delhi in general, women.
Chandigarh.
Women,
all women.
Yeah.
Bangalore is very big on women.
Bangalore,
Delhi, the
Pune,
distances
Chandigarh,
are so big now.
I think distances are large, right? Delhi. That's
Even in
huge.
Bombay, I've not seen a lot of women driving.
Because distances again, I think big
Yeah,
cities.
smaller,
Yeah.
more of women now.
Okay.
Plus Bombay, I guess you have now alternatives because of the buses and the
You have the
metro.
local as well. So I
And
think
the
most
local.
people just use the local trains in Bombay.
That's also.
Like most working people, women, men, they just use.
So their predictability is pretty good, right? So.
In Rajasthan, people use a lot of bikes as well. Somehow, I mean.
Even though it's hot. Even though it's super hot.
Even though it is super hot, they use bikes. People generally love bikes. I mean, when I was there, I always found that people were very passionate about which bike they own, all that stuff. And even married people go on bikes. So, like, people will own big bikes, not smaller ones, like Bullet or EHD is very popular in somehow in Rajasthan for some reason.
Yes.
That is probably their only market. But
I think the other thing about like owning a bike is you can, for guys, like you can pretty much just go on a road trip.
Yeah.
On your weekends, like take your bike.
That's true, actually.
Go around, like
so that's a lot to that.
So that's what, like just joyriding, or
you just joyriding, or like you're just going to a place which is about 70-80 miles away and like having fun with your friends, like
So again, appeals to that.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't do that with the car?
You would, but like there's a fun element.
There's a fun element in
It's popularized by movies also. Bollywood movies.
So
like
there's romanticizing that.
Yeah, romanticizes a bike and.
So Rohit, you mentioned predictability. Can you talk a little bit about that? What does that mean in India?
So for the different modes of transport, you mean?
Well, you said I'm assuming predictability in terms of road conditions, or is that what you?
Yeah, predictability. I meant more in terms of similarly, but in terms of timing, right?
Okay.
In terms of almost in terms of reliability.
Okay.
So if I say, I have to be at work at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And normally if I drive, it takes me an hour.
Yeah.
Can I leave at 7:30 from home, take another mode of transport, get a bus at 7:32, and be there at 8:25?
Okay.
Difference is the same bus will come at 7:32 today. It will come at 7:45 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
Bombay,
one
that's not
issue.
the case.
In Bombay, that's not the case.
That's why I said big.
So it depends on the network also. If it's a common route, so there'll be like 5 buses in the span of like 5 minutes. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're, let's say, going from something a little remote, off the mainstream of the of the city, then that's an issue.
And the other thing is, in this predictably, so the bus won't come on time, plus because of traffic conditions.
Yeah, time is...
how much time it takes to reach
also varies.
Range from 5 minutes to half an hour, depending on if there's some kind of a special occasion or ceremony going on and roads are blocked.
Plus you have the same rush hour concept, right? So,
but
here the thing is that
2 days there's
if you take an analogy here, like here you have rush hour, but rush hour is predictable, right?
There's rush, there's
no predictability. It can change. Like there's definitely, so if I leave, like, just to give you an example, I used to leave home and say, if I leave home at 7:30, I'll reach at 8:15. If I leave at 7:40, I'll reach at 8:40.
Okay.
Right? So it's not a linear correlation, right? A 5 minutes or a 10 minutes here will be like a massive...
And in Bangalore particularly,
even when you go from Delhi to Gurgaon, so Gurgaon is basically this hub which is like a suburb where you have a lot of companies where people go to work to. So to Rohit's point, I mean, if I would leave at 8:15, I would reach at 9:15. If I would leave at 8:30 or anything after that, I would pretty much reach my office at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Because the whole expressway would not be an expressway anymore. It's like just filled with cars.
Okay.
And remember, everyone's trying to figure out that.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy traffic problem. But
so what was your primary modes of transport?
So I used to drive.
The car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to, like when I was working, I would drive. I did experiment a little with like parking my car and also taking the metro, but it was very inconvenient.
Why?
So I had to literally change the metro once 3 times.
Okay.
And B, it was always super crowded.
Okay.
And I would actually get scared in the metro because there are like certain stations when people like, so imagine a closed container which has been thrown underwater and the doors just open and people are just gushing in like water. So that is how I felt when...
Bombay is crazy.
That is how I felt like, in that, but people actually travel in that scenario. I was not comfortable doing that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So that was the second thing.